Hello everyone, this is POW Ponder on Weather. In this update, we've got new details on a massive storm developing that's going to bring heavy snow, damaging to crippling ice, as well as very windy conditions over the coming days. Welcome back everyone, happy Friday out there. Go ahead and take a pause right now and go ahead and hit the like button to help the YouTube algorithm, as well as subscribe. If you hadn't subscribed to my channel all day, I do daily updates every single morning to keep you well ahead of the storm. It's free to do so. You just click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to get all my advanced warnings, and also share this video. We've got a lot of important details to cover in the days to come, so it's important to get as many people out there to know what is coming so they can prepare for this storm. So let's take a look at the overall spokes of energy this morning. So we've been tracking this storm that's coming off the Pacific Northwest here. That took a beeline eastward yesterday. Now it's taking a nosedive southward, and you can actually see the isobars. That is indicative of some very windy conditions that's going to be leaving in its wake, along with that heavy snow. And the latest trends continue to drop this thing just a little bit further south and as well as eastward. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's paint the Christmas tree here, because it's really starting to light up with numerous winter storm warnings here. These places in pink of winter storm warnings of anywhere from 4 to 8 inches, isolated spots around 8 to 12 inches right around central Iowa into Des Moines area. You see these purple shaded areas, that's where you typically see about 2 to 5 inches of snow with this snowstorm. All these areas and these brown shaded areas, that is your high wind and warnings. That on the back side from this system is going to be bringing very windy conditions and much colder air in its wake. And you can see the wind advisories and high wind watches take all the way down into the coast with those very windy conditions. And as this swings across, we've got numerous winter storm watches already in place for northern Arkansas, much of Tennessee, getting into the Carolinas, going up into North Carolina, as well as Virginia and West Virginia, and then up the coast. And a lot of these are going to be highlighted over the coming days with this massive storm that's just now kind of taking shape. So let's go over the latest details from the high resolution guidance. This is your latest high resolution guidance with that heavy snow starting to break out right now, but then this is around 3 o'clock this afternoon with heavier snow filtering into Minnesota, really impacting central Iowa. I think they're going to be the culprit from this first initial system of that heavier snow band of 8 to 12 inches. You're going to totally wipe out your snow deficit this year so far of the season in the Des Moines area. With a little bit lighter amounts as you shift further east, say in the Davenport, and obviously a little bit lighter amounts as you shift into Illinois and you get into extreme portions of Wisconsin here. And this actually continues to nosedive south as we get into the Saturday morning time frame. This is around 6 o'clock in the morning. There's the low pressure continuing to dive. There's the 540 line getting all the way in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That is indicative of that extremely cold air that's filtering on the backside. And the colder it is, the faster it follows, and the faster it travels southward. And that's what's happening here. We're seeing with the high resolution guidance, yeah, every single update, it pushes a little bit further south and a little bit further southeast as we get new data coming in with that cold air to continue to press southward. And as we get into the overnight hours on Saturday time frame, that continues. The low pressure is set up off the Louisiana coast, right? It continues to travel further south. That brings the snow line further south as well, and eastern Oklahoma, getting into Arkansas, even northern Texas, Red River, northeast Texas. No flurries. It's getting higher indications, increasing possibilities, and even Dallas-Fort Worth area might see some snow flurries out of this deal before this winds down. But that low pressure continues to shift southward. I think that's where it stops right here. So if you actually go back, I mean, we're talking 5 days ago, guys. 5 days ago, we talked about a Miller Type A setup of a developing low pressure that's going to set up shop off the Louisiana coast and come up the coast and dump a massive nor'easter and heavy snow event on the backside, with those numerous high wind watches and warnings and heavy snow taking place. And look where the low is right now. We talked about this 5 days ago. So we've had plenty of advanced warning with this system, and this is almost verbatim where I talked about the low was going to be at, and where the low is now with the high resolution guidance 5 days ago. It doesn't get any better than that, guys. I mean, you can't get any more advanced warnings than what we talked about on this channel 5 days ago with this system coming in. And then as this rides up the coast, man, look at the high winds on the backside on the high resolution guidance. Those red areas, here's the graph on the right hand corner of the screen of these oranges, and then you start getting into the reds. That is your 40 and 50 and 60 mile per hour wind gust. This storm is going to be packing a punch. Even if you don't get the snow, you're going to get the cold air and the cold wind chills and the very high winds. You're going to be feeling this. Let's take a look at the latest high resolution guidance. Now again, this only goes out 48 hours, but the main path from this system, there's the heavier swath of 4 to 8 inches with some isolated amounts of 8 to 12 inches in and around that bullseye. Southern Minnesota getting into Iowa here, with those lighter amounts, the 2 to 5 inches, swing all the way into portions of Missouri, northern Arkansas, a dusting, 1 inch variety into parts of eastern Oklahoma. You start getting a little higher amounts if you get towards the border. The new indications, again, keeps pulling this system a little bit further south. Now we're talking snow flurries at least along the Red River, probably some along the grassy areas around the Red River, getting in the Sherman area, northeast Texas, even in the Ellsworth area. Is not out of the question to see some snow flurries fly. I'm not talking any impacts or any accumulations really with this particular system, but again, it does appear that it continues to dive southward, that we could be seeing some snowflakes and snow flurries in and around the Ellsworth area, and this continues to press southward. But look at the wind chills. I mean, this is the we're talking, this is the afternoon hours. I mean, this is 21Z, this is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, guys. This is some pretty cold stuff. It was 76 degrees in the Ellsworth area yesterday. We're talking in the 70s today. This is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, wind chills in the Ellsworth area, 18 degrees, right? That's some cold stuff. Single digits in the Oklahoma area. But look at the cold air continuing to press south. So yes, this storm is going to be really packing a punch, and you're going to really feel it in a big way. So let's continue with the NAM 3K, because the overall high resolution guidance only goes out 48 hours. So I try to stick with the high resolution guidance in the beginning, because that's the most, kind of zeroed in guidance that we have available, and that's the indication that it keeps pushing this system a little bit further south. So by the time we get into that Saturday midnight time frame, we're talking a good swath of fairly moderate snow breaking out into Arkansas, getting into northern Louisiana with some at least a dusting of snow, say the Shreveport area. Yes, these are places that really don't see snowfall, that could be at least getting some snow flurries out of this system. There's the rain on the south side in and around the Mississippi and Alabama, getting into Georgia, with a heavier band starting to move into parts of Tennessee. But as we transition into Sunday morning, this is where it gets really interesting, because there's a lot of moving parts with this system, where we've got warm air coming from the south, we've got cold air pressing from the north, we've got heavier snow, moderate heavy snow. Mississippi, guys, yeah, we're talking light to moderate snow, at least in the northern part of Mississippi. And I think we could have a bullseye starting to set up in and around the Tennessee area with some very heavy snow developing. They already got those winter storm watches in place. There's the rain. And then once you get into the Carolinas with that warm air coming from the south, the cold air damming event, it's going to be a nasty setup. I mean, it's just going to be a damaging to crippling ice storm in and around the Carolinas. North Carolina, my best advice in this area is just to stay home. You can't drive on ice anywhere from 1/8 of an inch. It gets very dangerous to try to travel in those conditions. And the worst thing you want to do is be just stuck out there on the roads for hours, like what happened in the I-95 corridor a week or so ago. They had a 20-mile backup that they had to stay on the roads for overnight. That is not a pretty situation to be in that. So yes, this is a dangerous setup, going to be unfolding over the coming days, and you need to be well aware, especially you're going to be on the roadways for those truck drivers and everything else out there that's going to be high travel in areas. They're going to be with this storm, people on the Appalachian Trail. There's the snow breaking out. That's noon on Sunday. We're talking Alabama, guys. Again, for the third time this year, we're talking snow in Alabama, even in the North Georgia area. And yes, even Atlanta could get in the action of 1 to 3 inches of snowfall from this system. Birmingham, Alabama, probably get some snow out of this deal, about 1 to 3 inches, I would say right now. Even a little bit further south, not out of the question, you can see a dusting out of the system as this continues to rapidly intensify. There's the heavy snow and the ice that's going to be crippling coming up the coast, getting into Virginia, going into West Virginia. I think there's going to be some surprises in Tennessee. Places like Nashville, I'm thinking 8 to 12 inches right now, but anywhere in the Middle Tennessee area could easily pick up double-digit snowfalls from this system. Yes, this thing's going to be cranking as it comes up the coast into Kentucky, going into portions of West Virginia. That is around that noontime on Sunday. There's the snowfall from the latest 3K kilometer NAM model, and brings at least the dusting all the way into northern Louisiana, central to southern Mississippi, central to southern Alabama. At least a dusting of snow could fly out of the sky, accumulating amounts as you get into that northern parts of Mississippi, northern parts of Alabama, northern parts of Georgia, especially into Tennessee. Now, again, this particular model only goes out 60 hours. So I'm just showing you this particular setup because it actually brings the snowfall a little bit further south than what the longer range guidance has right now. So as we move forward, let me put the side-by-side features of the latest European model as well as the GFS in the same time frame. This is a midnight time frame. This is 72 hours from out. I'm recording this video of where the low is gonna be. This continues to travel further south. There it is off the coast. The European model has it a little bit further inland, but we got heavier snow in and around the West Virginia area coming up into southern and central Ohio, going into PA, going into DC, heading up the coast into northern Jersey here as this low really starts to intensify and almost takes in another type storm coming up with that Miller type setup coming in with a massive inflow of high winds and very, high water content with this system. It could really start cranking as it gets up into the northeast. And as we get into that Monday morning time frame, we're talking 6 o'clock in the morning right now. This is the low right off the coast here in and around the Connecticut area, with that heavier snow on the backside into PA, into New York here, going into Massachusetts, into Connecticut, riding up the coast into Vermont, New Hampshire, with some very heavy snow breaking out on the northern side. Some of these areas, again, 1, 2 snowfall rates per hour. Some of these isolated bandings with that deformation zone setting up where that snow is just really cranking, where it's pumping in that high water content. 2, 3, 4 inches per hour is not out of the question in some of these isolated spots with some very heavy snow coming down. That is on Monday morning, and this continues to ramp up, continues to intensify as it rides up the coast here. Now we've got that heavier snow in and around the Vermont area, getting into New Hampshire, going into Maine with some very heavy snow and all the backside snow as well, adding to those totals into New York, getting into PA, into West Virginia with that backside system finally trying to move out. That's not till Monday afternoon, but even Tuesday morning, guys, there's the filter on the backside. We still got some snow trying to wind itself down. So these could be some pretty significant totals adding up in a big way for portions of the Northeast getting into New England. But a big culprit from this storm is just going to be the damaging to crippling ice storm. And you get anywhere from, again, you start getting into that 1/8 of an inch of ice. it starts getting really dangerous to start traveling on the roadways. You start running into the situations where you start to have coating on the trees, getting on the power lines. You're talking power outages. Once you get into the damaging type ice, that's about a ½ inch accumulation. That is getting very dangerous by then. And then 3/4 of an inch, that's getting into the crippling start range. That's where it gets really starts to get dangerous and serious. And I honestly, I hate to see it, but portions of southern South Carolina, getting into portions of Charlotte, getting into Raleigh here, those areas are going to be inundated with a lot of ice from this system with that warm nose from the south side. So you might actually see more ice and sleet than snow, because you get all three in this area. So let me go over the sleet. So you're going to have sleet compounding on as well. With those mixed precipitation as it filters from the sky, as the kind of the winter battle zone takes place into portions of Kentucky, West Virginia. There's the latest GFS, man, really packs it up with several inches of right? I mean, so this could be definitely a crippling snow and ice storm. Here's the latest indications on the preliminary snowfall totals as of right now. And I do feel with new guidance going forward, again, as the high resolution models indicated further into this event, it drops it a little bit further south, it drops it further southeast. And I do feel as more data comes in, it's going to continue to drag this system a little bit further south and a little bit further southeast as it rides up the coast. So, hey, if it's painting a picture where you're only going to see a dusting or two along the coast, I'm thinking a little bit more higher totals than what you're seeing currently right now. But the main system is going to be well inland for sure, with very high snow amounts of easily 8 to 12 inches anywhere you see in these pinks areas. And then again, isolated amounts of 8 to 24 inches, over 2 feet in isolated amounts. Somebody's getting 2 feet of snow in the Northeast from this system. I'm not sure who it is right now, but somebody's going to be getting it. That is the dynamics of what is on the table from this particular system. And as this continues to race up, there's the GFS continues to paint that picture of easily 8 to 12 inch swath, some little bit higher amounts. I mean, we're talking Pittsburgh, continuing indications, 8 to 12 inches from this storm. All the models in the Pittsburgh area, 8 to 12 inches from this storm coming up. So definitely be prepared for that. But there's the winds. I mean, I showed you the winds in the midsection of the country. The winds are just going to be almost taking on a new storm as it gets off the coast. And these are your potential wind gusts over the coming days. So we've got sleet, snow, ice, and then blinding some of these, even whiteout conditions with that blowing and drifting snow at times, with these winds cranking a 40 to 50, even along the coast. I mean, these are some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. You start getting out here to the Cape here along the coast, those are some 72 and 74. That's hurricane force wind gusts, guys. So yeah, that is not out of the question as well as you get along the coastline here. Because so this storm is definitely going to be packing a punch. So I appreciate you guys watching. I will continue to update on this storm in the days to come, so you can get the latest to keep weather aware. Be sure to share this video out there so you can get as many out there that know what's coming, so they can prepare for the storm, what lies ahead. I appreciate you guys watching. Click the subscribe button if you hadn't already, and follow me with all my links on the description below of all my other social platforms as well, so you can get timely updates as well on this particular storm going forward. So I appreciate you guys watching. Catch me in the next update where I protect you for and after the storm.